On today's show,
I met some of the greatest professors, I think, ever in the entire world at Howard University. I took a class my freshman year, so my very first semester on campus, with this man. His name is Dr. Munyandu. He's from South Africa. He's from the Zulu nation there. And he was teaching Intro to Continental Africa. I spent one semester in this class. And, when I first went in there, I was like, oh, God, this man is crazy. Like, I don't know. Like, he has a lot of energy. I don't know if I really like it. To this day, I'm still connected to Dr. Munyandu. Dr. Munyandu still checks in on me. Like, even my last day on campus, I went to see Dr. Munyandu, and he was like, this is very important. We need to take a picture of us so you can remember this. And, he still writes recommendation letters and, calls me CC, like this term of endearment from his culture. So I met some really, really amazing people at Howard, and the friends that I've made, I don't think I could have met them anywhere else.
Yeah.
So that's just another positive of being at an HBCU, specifically mine. You're going to find your people. There's such a wide breadth of people that you'll find your work.
Welcome to Education Today. I'm your host, Solanke. I spent 15 years in the secondary classroom teaching English, reading, and social studies. I've also been on the other side as a parent of 3 children who have completed the formal schooling years of kindergarten through 12th grade and are now in the college and career stage. Now I'm here to have conversations with teachers, administrators, school staff, students, and parents about all things education. Join me as I cover current topics in education from preschool through to college, career, and beyond. Our guest today is Abrianne Joseph. Welcome to the show again, Abrianne.
Thank you.
Hey, welcome back. So you attended HBCU, and for anybody who doesn't know what that is in the audience, historically Black college or university. I grew up in England, and I didn't have the opportunity to experience anything like that. So I'm just always I'm intrigued by the whole HBCU experience. And it could be argued that you perhaps attended the premier HBCU, Howard University, although I know some people in Atlanta would argue against that, would have an issue with me saying that, but that's okay. So I just want to know what your experience at a HBCU was. What were the good parts, and what were the parts that you wish were different?
Okay. HU, shout out to all the Howard alum. So the good parts, let's start there. I grew up in an area where I was often one of few, especially like being, in honors classes or AP classes. Like I'd be the only one, or there'd be one other person and it'd be the same person in all the classes.
You mean the only Black female?
Yes, the only Black woman.
Yeah.
Yep. And so when I went to Howard, I was like, whoa, there's so many Black people.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people think that HBCUs aren't diverse because it's like, oh, it's just Black people. But there's a diversity of Black people. There's Black people that, have generations that have been here in the U.S. There's Black people there that are first generation Americans that came from, their parents are immigrants. And then there are Black people from the Caribbean and Africa, the continent of Africa, that are at that HBCU as well.
Yeah.
So it was amazing to connect with other Black people and see the breadth of Black culture.
Yeah.
It was, I think at first I was very scared that I wouldn't fit in, that I wouldn't find my people, because I was not used to being around Black people. Most of the Black people that I knew before going to college were my family.
Yeah.
And we're Haitian American. Yeah. I did not know a lot of Black American people. And quite frankly, at least for Haitian families, a lot of the times there are harmful stereotypes about Black Americans.
Yeah.
And I had to unlearn those things when I went to college. And I learned that, Black culture is really rich, and I really love Black people. Like, I really love to be around them. So it was super amazing. We had a ton of fun. Like, there's not like all this like respectability politics where we can have fun. We can go out on the weekends and we can do crazy things like teenagers and young adults are supposed to do.
Yeah.
But we are also excellent. We are also scholars.
Yeah.
And we know how to have that duality. The people at Howard are, a lot of them, natural born leaders, or leaders that have been, cultivated through their time growing up. And that was really great to see that, other people want to succeed like me,
Mm-hmm.
and we're all working towards the same things.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
mentioned the diversity. I heard that there's a large Asian population there also. Is that correct? Like Indian, Pakistani?
Yeah, we do have a good amount of Asians as well.
Okay. Yeah. I want to ask, I'm still on the diversity topic. I want to ask you something, since you attended the university, about an article that I read about a year or two ago about, I think it was last year, about like this, I guess I would call it division of Black people. um, there was an event at Howard that was celebrating African heritage, and the Nigerian American students came out in their African attire. I don't know what the event was, but it was celebrating West African culture. It seemed like, but there was pushback from African American students. Um, do you is there like a division there? Like, oh well, we're Haitian Americans. Well, we're Jamaicans. We're Africans. We're African Americans. Or do people coexist?
I think there was a lot of affinity to one's group, which is not uncommon in any sector of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to gravitate towards what they know, and it gives them a sense of home and a sense of safety.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was like affinity to people's own culture. Like a lot of the people from Trinidad would often be together, or a lot of the people from Jamaica would often be together. The Nigerians would be together, and we had like different clubs on campus, like the African Students Association, or there was a Caribbean org as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, that existed, but like they're so welcoming.
Yeah.
Like my best friend is Nigerian, and she welcomed me into Nigerian culture.
Yeah.
I have friends on campus that are Jamaican, that are Trinidadian, or any of the other countries in the Caribbean or Africa. And there's a good Ethiopian population. So do people typically hang out with like the people that are from their same culture? Yes.
Yeah.
But it's not like segregated in any way where it's like, oh, we are only friends with these people.
Yeah. Okay. That's good to know. I guess I have to also acknowledge that a lot of those students might be international students. So if you're an international student, you are going to gravitate towards people from your region or country because you're brand new to this country. So that would make sense. Yeah.
Right. That one piece of familiarity that you can have, you're going to definitely hold on to that. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I love to hear that the different groups are very welcoming. That's very encouraging. How does pledging and sororities and fraternities fit into this grouping of people?
Oh Lord, don't get me in trouble. All right. I'm going to give you as much as I can give you. So Howard University is the Mecca.
Yeah.
All right. So Howard University is home to the Alpha chapter of, I believe, 5 of the 9 D9 organizations.
Yeah. I know
NPHC.
I know that AKAs originated at Howard. Is that correct?
Yes. So the Alpha chapter is where it was started. So Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, and Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Those were all founded on the campus of Howard University.
Oh, wow.
So Greek life is very, very important to Howard culture.
Yeah.
So from the moment people step on campus, from even before they come on campus, if you are a legacy or if you come from a community that, these organizations are very active, you're surrounded by Black people, people are already working towards that.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are like, frat parties or sorority parties, and, people in their frat or their sorority will often hang around each other. There are nuances of Black culture in that, in a Black fraternity or sorority, it's very exclusive and it's taken very seriously.
Yeah.
So you better not be seen calling out a sororities or fraternities call, or wearing their letters, or, doing their hand signs and things like that. It's something that's very sacred and important to them.
Yeah.
So a student on a PWI campus may come to an HBCU and be like, oh yeah, I want to dance too. No.
So can you just explain to our audience PWI?
Predominantly white institution.
Okay.
So that's most colleges and universities in the US.
Yeah.
So sorority and fraternity life does play a big role. There's a certain culture that, you have to learn.
Yeah.
And it's very important that you abide by it.
So do you feel outcast if you don't pledge?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
Yeah.
You know, I have friends that are in a sorority or friends that are in a fraternity, and it's completely fine. I just know the boundaries of what's appropriate for me as what they call a GDI, an individual,
Hmm.
and what's appropriate for them as a member of a fraternity or sorority.
Okay. Yeah. So you mentioned earlier that Howard University is full of some of the, like, many of the students are like born leaders, and then you mentioned that like people are able to party freely. So it sounds like there's a balance there in that university. So that yes, there's a lot of partying. There's fraternity parties, sorority parties, but academics is still foremost. Is that correct? Is that true?
Yes.
Yeah.
At Howard University, academics are taken very seriously.
Okay.
And people are engaged in their academics above and beyond. So research is very important. A lot of people are engaged in research. A lot of people are in multiple honor societies and things like that. So I think, I've mainly covered a lot of the positives. Let me give you one more positive about my HBCU.
Mm-hmm.
You will find some really great people.
Yeah.
I met some of the greatest professors, I think, ever in the entire world at Howard University. I took a class my freshman year of college in the fall. So my very first semester on campus. This man, his name is Dr. Munyandu. He's from South Africa,
Mm-hmm.
and he's from the Zulu nation there. And he was teaching Intro to Continental Africa. I spent one semester in this class, and when I first went in there, I was like, "Oh God, this man is crazy. Like, I don't know. Like, he has a lot of energy. I don't know if I really like it." To this day, I'm still connected to Dr. Munyandu. Dr. Munyandu still checks in on me. Like, even my last day on campus, I went to see Dr. Munyandu, and he was like, "This is very important. We need to take a picture so you can remember this." And, he still writes recommendation letters and, calls me CC, like this term of endearment from his culture. So I met some really amazing, really, really amazing people at Howard, and the friends that I've made, like, I don't think I could have met them anywhere else.
Yeah.
So that's just another positive of being at an HBCU, specifically mine. You're going to find your people. There's such a wide breadth of people that you'll find yours.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the negatives, right?
One thing I will say is this: I hear this complaint a lot about not just Howard, about HBCUs in particular, that when students come home, they say the housing is bad. Like this, it's not maintained. Like there's a complaint about funding. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then that because of that, the housing is not maintained to the level of non-HBCU universities. Is that correct?
Yes, that is very correct. So HBCUs in general have less funding. Their endowment isn't as big. The giving from alumni is not as great.
Mm-hmm.
That is not to say that alumni of HBCU do not give back to their universities, but due to white supremacy and, the fight that Black people in this country have had to go through to gain wealth, it's just not realistic to think that our alum will have as much money to give back and as much generational wealth, if any generational wealth, to give back to the university.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that underfunding issue. And then there's also issues where there will be misappropriation of funds, or there was an embezzlement issue when I was at Howard and things like that. So basically, money is a problem.
Yeah.
And the organization in general is a problem. So getting anything done at Howard, including housing things, is a fight. From the moment I stepped foot on campus, I was fighting for my life. I should not have to call 6 different people and send 12 different emails and stand in lines for 7 hours to get one thing done.
Yeah.
Even before I got to campus, there was an issue with my scholarship, and I was emailing the financial aid office they stopped responding. I was calling the financial aid office. They learned my voice and started to hang up on me. So before I even matriculated at Howard University, me and my mom had to spend $750 and pull up there in person to resolve my issue.
Yeah. Wow. I think I remember that. I remember that.
Yes. I probably complained about it a lot because it was awful. So there's a lot of disorganization and a lot of just having students have to pull themselves up by the bootstraps and just claw at the ground to just get even a modicum of decency. So there has been issues at Howard when I was there. They don't have enough housing. Yet again, they're still selling buildings. Some of the buildings that Howard has owned, they're selling them to developers as opposed to developing them as more student housing when students are homeless. The students aren't able to find housing in DC if there's not enough campus housing, because DC housing is very, very, very expensive. There was in the other dorm, I decided to stay in the new dorm, the new freshman girls dorm when I moved in, but the dorm with so much history is called the Quad. That's for freshman girls mainly. The Quad had a lot of issues when I was there. For over a month, it was probably months, my friends were showering in cold water. There was no hot water. And this was in the winter in DC.
Oh, wow.
Or the next year in the Quad when I was a sophomore, there was a huge flooding issue. People were living in these dorms that were flooded. They were not getting resolution within a timely amount. Then after the flooding, there was a ton of mold, and the university was not resolving it, which is this is a health issue, right? Was not resolving it within an appropriate amount of time. So these are things that are a struggle at Howard, and I'm sure at other HBCUs as well. Just the administrative and organizational issues definitely drive students away.
Yeah, that's a shame. Speaking of driving students away, actually, at first I wanted to point out that you mentioned the faculty, an amazing faculty. I just wanted to point out that Felicia Rashad is now part of the faculty. I think that's pretty cool.
She is. It is pretty cool. And we have a lot of really notable alumni. Actually, Toni Morrison, she's an alumni of Howard University, and she was a professor. So students just like me were able to sit in her classroom and learn from her, from the greats. Ida B. Wells, we have had the opportunity to learn from really amazing people that are super notable in Black history.
Yeah. And then let's not forget the current vice president is also an alum. First female vice president.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris is an alumna of Howard University, and she was also a part of Alpha Kappa Alpha.
Yeah.
Alpha chapter.
Ta-Nehisi Coates, I think I always pronounce his name incorrectly, and I apologize for that. The author went to, I think he might be even the faculty actually, which is interesting. Went to Howard, but didn't graduate because he spent so much time doing extracurriculars.
No, he didn't graduate, but he still is an amazing, amazing guy. I don't know if he's on the faculty now. If he is, that's awesome. He actually came while I was a student there and did a presentation on one of his books and, about some of the work that he does, and amazing.
Yeah. So you mentioned about the bureaucracy and chasing students away, and the red tape, really. I heard that the females outnumber the males by a ridiculous percentage. Is that correct?
Yes.
What do you think is keeping so many males away from Howard? Are they all going to Morehouse?
The Morehouse men. Well, we could say the same. Why aren't all the men going to Spelman? Let's think about this, right? Black people in general are not given the same opportunities to excel before they get to college, which is what gets you into college.
Yeah.
So Howard can be very selective in their admissions process, especially nowadays. So if they don't have the SAT score, the ACT score, or the GPA, they're not going to get in, right? Yeah. And then, a lot of Black men are in this country with our issue with mass incarceration. Even before they've reached 18 years old, even before the time that they are applying to colleges, they've been involved in the prison industrial complex. Yeah. They have been involved in with law enforcement, and they may have charges, and they college may not be an option, right?
Yeah.
You do have to disclose those things when you're applying to college. And then being in those systems, you're not going to have the greatest education
Yeah.
while you are in juvenile detention, while you are in jail, because sometimes they do send minors to jail. You're not going to have the greatest preparation to be able to qualify to go to a university.
Yeah. But for those who are applying to university as males, do you think that there is a perception that Howard is a girls' university, girls' college, like Spelman?
No, I don't
Okay.
think so. Yeah, but let's talk about that ratio for real. I'm pretty sure like at the time I was there, if you included like grad students, the ratio was like 5-1 or 6-1, something
wow.
crazy like that.
Oh, it's that bad.
Something crazy like that. And let me tell you, if you are a het woman on Howard's campus, I'm sorry. I like a lot of the people.
I'm sorry.
I know
What did you
that
say? If you were what?
a heterosexual woman,
Uh-huh.
like you like men,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, you're out of luck.
On Howard's campus, it's very bad. It's very bad.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people I know, a lot of the Black women that I know that are in successful marriages still to this day, met their husband in college.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I missed my opportunity.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely something to take into account.
Yeah, that's true. Perhaps that's why some people go to College Park in Atlanta, because they can literally walk across the street and find a spouse.
Yeah. Some people are like, oh, don't go to an all-girls school, Spelman or Morehouse. No, Spelman and Morehouse, they're like brother sister colleges, and then they've got Clark Atlanta right there.
Yeah.
Like
Walk
they
across
have
the
it all.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this has been a great conversation about Howard University, about attending a HBCU. So thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us today.
Thank you.
All right. And it's been great having you on the show. We look forward to seeing your future educational endeavors as you move along in life as a Howard grad.
I'm excited for it too.
Yeah. Thank you.